Hello everybody, thanks a lot for being here. The topic of today's video, subtle highlights. It really is very self-explanatory. I think these are those goof-proof highlights that you can apply. You don't really have to be careful with them, so to speak. You know, there are some, I could do a whole video on highlights that are exceptionally glowy, that look really nice when you just barely get Eddie on your brush and dab them on. But these, I think, are truly the definition of goof-proof. You can apply them, you don't really have to stop and think about it, and the end result looks really natural. I don't think it attracts any attention to flaws, and I just like the fact that I can see myself not only in this room with these special lights around me, but also in broad daylight and feel like, yeah, that's realistic. You know, that looks like that could naturally be coming from my skin itself. So I like that feeling, and I thought I would share these particular highlights with you. I've got a top 5, so I'm going to go from the least glowy to the most glowy, and I will point out what brushes I like to use with these also. So as far as the least glowy, and this goes way back, this has been a long time favorite in my collection. It's my LOreal Baked French Vanilla highlight. So before Gilded Honey was real hot, they had Baked French Vanilla, and I love how this particular highlight actually is kind of a combination coverage powder plus highlight. I love how it does that, but I always felt like whenever I put this particular highlight on, everything looked so nicely evened out and still a little bit brightened. There's a little bit of glow to this powder. It's not like 100% matte or anything. When you see it in the swatch on my finger there, it's very concentrated, yes, but I kind of have to do that so you can tell what I'm talking about. Little bit of sheen, but it's subtle. And I like to apply this with my e.l.f. small tapered brush. It's a small brush, but it still can cover like some decent surface area if you're just to dab it like right over this entire area. And sometimes I'll use this highlight just to overall brighten that portion of my face, and then you can go on top of it with something more glowy if you really want like a little added shine. But I think if you've got problem skin, like fine lines, uneven texture, and you feel like most shimmery highlights only add to that, this is a good way to brighten your skin without going too heavy on top of those areas and attracting attention to the problems. Next one I want to mention that's definitely subtle but a little more glowy than what I was talking about there with the LOreal is the e.l.f. Illuminating Palette. And this actually was in my Shop My Stash drawer, so kind of a rediscovered gem here, but you get 4 tones of very, very soft and subtle highlights. I will say anytime I dip a brush into these, I'm kind of like, oh, it's sort of powdery, like it kicks up a little powder. And sometimes when I'm thinking about it, I'll tap off the excess, but you don't even really have to. You can just slap this stuff on and it still looks super natural on my skin. So what I'm wearing today, I want to tell you, I've got a blush from my Makeup Revolution Hot Spice palette. It is this one right down here. So I wanted a blush that would just give me some color, but not a glow that would interfere with the highlight, so you know where the glow is coming from. That's on my cheeks, and then I went over it with this kind of goldeny highlight, and it's just barely there shimmer, and then on top of that, I took the lightest one right on top of the cheeks, and it's glow, but it's so like normal, and there's no flecks of sparkle in there. You're not seeing glitter anywhere. There's nothing harsh about it. And what's cool is that every shade in this palette has that kind of quality for me. This one, you know, would be the brightest. This one, most golden, really beautiful over a peachy tone blush. This one has a little bit more of a pink tone in it, still very brightening. And this one down here just has the slightest hint of beige, super, super subtle, but still a little glow in there. And these are just dynamite. I don't necessarily love the way they look in a swatch because I just don't think it does them justice. It's like it has to be applied where you would put on highlight to see it on the skin and be like, okay, yeah, I get it. And the brush that I often use with those, I will either use my e.l.f. small tapered brush or my little Up and Up highlight brush. If you want a little more concentrated color out of any of these, the Up and Up brush kind of like, I don't know, really dabs it on a specific area. And this came with a little set of brushes. The Up and Up line is sold at Target. Next up, I've got a couple of different textures to tell you about for a subtle highlighted look. One of them I know I've talked about recently, my NYX Bright Idea stick in the shade Chardonnay Shimmer. So it's like this chubby highlighter crayon. You put it on, and just the nature of its color, you know, it's a little bit like beigey peach mixed in with that glow, and something about that just looks very natural, lit from within on the skin. I like to just take my e.l.f. small stipple brush, kind of graze it across the top of that, and then just dab it right on like the apple of my cheek. It gives just this instantaneous natural glow. Again, no flecks of glitter particles here. I could have called this video like highlights that don't look like highlights. For some reason, I'm just infatuated with that concept of products giving you a certain function but not looking makeup-y on the skin, so that's definitely one of those. And then I want to mention my Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Liquid in the Champagne Pop color. First off, I'm really surprised that this has not gotten like as much, if not more, attention than the Champagne Pop powder highlight, because that's beautiful and everything, but this is like undetectable perfected skin. I've always loved these liquid highlights that Becca has put out, and so I've got the full size here. I try to pump out a little bit. Sometimes it's hard. That's the one downfall. It's like you try to just pump out barely any on your hand and you still get more than enough. And there are other Shimmering Skin Perfector liquids from this line that are really nice, but there is something about the tone of this that just brings it back to the skin. Like, I think Opal is gorgeous, but this having that little bit of golden peach happening, it's so pretty. And I've laid it on thick there, but I just want to show you. I would use this again with my e.l.f. small stipple brush, get a little on my hand, and then just kind of buff it right on top of the cheeks. And I'm doing it super lightly here, but it's just the prettiest look. I love this stuff. And maybe you're thinking, well, why liquid highlight as opposed to one of the powders you mentioned? I think there's a little added versatility with a liquid highlight because you can pump a little bit of that out. You can use it on your body very easily, mix it in, like dilute it a little bit with a body lotion, and that works really nice. Or blend it in with your moisturizer, blend it in with a foundation that you want to make a little more glowy. Or, you can strictly apply it as a highlight. It's a lot of product here, if you stick to just that one method. So for a high-end item, I do feel like it's a great value and just the perfect tone to kind of mesh with your skin. The final one that I want to talk about, I think, is the one capable of laying down the most glow on your skin, but I would still keep it in this overall subtle category, And it's my L'Oreal True Match Lumi powder highlight in the rose tone. And I've worn this, I've actually split up these 4 shades and I've worn those as eyeshadows before. It's very pretty like that. Or, for the most part, if you want to rule out some of the rosiness, you can easily stick to the larger part, that kind of center portion of the compact, but blend it all together, or just kind of dabbing a brush, like patting it all over the surface of this product. You do get some of that mauve-y rose mixed in, and sometimes I like that, and I think it especially looks nice going right on top of wherever you would apply blush, like a little blush topper coordinating thing. It looks so pretty, but I know they have different tones of these available. This is the only one I've tried, and I've just really loved it. It's very pigmented, it's really soft, but it's always given me a glow that I've felt comfortable with, and I didn't feel like was too over the top or too cheesy. But I hope this helped you guys out if you're looking for that healthy, kind of realistic glow on top of your makeup. I know some people like a really heavy highlight, and if you do, that's fine. There are tons of products that can give you that, but sometimes it's harder to hone in on those things that are just giving you the barely there glow. So thank you so much for your time, and I will see you guys later. Bye.